The Red Rock textured pocket style flares that we have here today for the 04 to 08 F-150 will be one of the most affordable ways to provide just over 2 inches of additional coverage to help hide a wider wheel or a lower offset, or just make for a tougher look overall. Now this kit does include a set of 4 flares along with the unique textured black finish, hardware, and rivets, all for right around that low $200 price point. All right, so the age-old question, why go with a flare like this in the first place? Well, 2 big reasons come to mind. Either you really just like the look, or you need to cover up some tire poke thanks to a wider wheel or a lower offset, or a combination of both. Listen, I do enjoy a little bit of poke with my trucks, but the reality is some laws out there do mandate that tires be covered at all times, and if they aren't, well, you can either fail your local inspection or get hassled by your local authorities, neither of which are very fun. On top of that, an uncovered tire on a lower offset or wider wheel can result in a very dirty, scratched up truck very quickly. That's because the smallest mud puddle will sling that water, mud, dirt, whatever down the side of your truck. Now obviously some people might not mind this because yes, it is a truck after all, but at the end of the day, some folks might not enjoy cleaning or washing their trucks every other day. And that's where the Red Rock flares that we have here come into play. These guys will definitely help keep your truck a little bit cleaner thanks to the additional coverage. In fact, just over 2 inches of additional coverage off the fender for both front and rear, helping to keep your rig a little bit cleaner, a little less scratched, if you will, while also making for a more aggressive look and a price, again, that's really hard to beat. I do also want to point out, guys, that the black finish on this particular set does have a baked-in UV coating. That's there to help prevent any fading over the years, but more importantly, that black finish does have a textured finish, which gives them a completely different, very unique look. Now, it's not quite Line-X texture, but just know that there is some roughness to them, so if you did have the idea to eventually paint them to match your truck, I don't know if I'd recommend these. You might want to consider a smooth flare with the pocket style instead. Now, speaking of that pocket style, that's what this set is. It just basically means they do feature that bolt-on look or style thanks to the included hardware, which some owners dig, others maybe do not. Now, if you do prefer more of a clean look overall, there are some other options on the site that will be completely smooth, both in finish and without the included hardware. So feel free to check out the rest of our selection here at AT if you want to do a little bit more browsing before pulling the trigger. But let's switch gears and talk about the install, and you can expect a pretty solid 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, maybe an hour or so to complete from start to finish. But to give you a better idea of what you're in for, here's an American Trucks customer to walk you through the job now.
Tools you will need for this, as listed in the instructions here, are your utility knife, number 2 Phillips drive bit, 7/32 socket, T45 Torx bit, socket wrench, and of course a marker. So always want to have your tools laid out and ready before you begin installation. All right, so the first step that we have here according to our instructions is to prep the trim edge. You should have a long sleeve of this tubing, and what you'll see is inside of it is a red strip. That red strip is what's keeping it from sticking to itself. So what we'll do is, a couple inches at a time, we're actually going to take it and attach it to this upper edge, the edge where the bolt holes are. So we'll start at one end, we'll attach it, and then slowly but surely, a few inches at a time. It's not difficult, but it is monotonous. We're going to be attaching that stripping all along this outer edge. So taking one end of it, I'm going to attach it to this upper trim edge. What I'll do is I'll slowly but surely pull that little red piece out and attach this. Kind of like the letter C over the edge of it. So as I go a few inches and I start to get it lined up correctly, I can remove that little piece of red. You want to be sure as you go through this that you have it lined up exactly as you want it before you pull that red out. Like I said, not hard, but monotonous. Got about 4 inches done here, and you actually can, if you want to, attach it before pulling the red strip, and then once it's in, you can kind of slowly start to pull the red out. Really, either way works, whatever works best for you. I like to get it set in little increments, and then just be careful not to pull so hard that you rip it, but just gently pull that red stripping back as you go. And again, this is what's going to provide that tight adhesion and keep any outer elements from getting in under the flare here. Provides a nice soft barrier so that you're not bouncing around or scratching the truck at all. It's a nice soft rubber contact. Again, every few inches, just gently pulling that red barrier tape out of the way so that I can get good clean adhesion as I work my way. And this process is going to repeat for all 4 of the flares. Front, right, and left, and back, right, and left. Go a little further, pull my tape. One thing I am trying to do that speeds it up a little is I stick my thumb in that gap, kind of widen the space as I lay it in. It helps it to fit down a little quicker, a little smoother as we go. A little closer. So you can see that red tape is just inside. So all I'm doing is laying it over that groove and then pull. Again, you can use your thumb, open it up a little bit if it's tough to fit. And you might have to cut that footage because I think it just ends at the bottom here. It does not look like it'll go any further. So we're going to take our utility knife. Once we reach that corner, make a nice clean cut. And we're done one. Repeat that same process for each of your 4 flares, and you'll have nice clean edging all the way around, preventing any damage to the side of the truck, preventing any hard surfaces rubbing against your paint and all that jazz. There you have it. If you look, you can see that trim is lined up nice and clean, adhesion all the way around through the end of my flare. So before you go installing any of the trim or the bolts, you would certainly want to make sure you have good fitment of the flare to your truck. Make sure you got the right order and the fitment is good. So I'm simply going to do a dry fit, make sure that my grooves line up, which in this case fortunately they do. And my bolt holes also seem to be right on point. So this flare looks good to me. We'll go ahead and mount that one after we get the trim and the bolt holes good. We're going to check the front fitment, make sure that this is accurate. Again, if you're not sure, FL tells me this is the front left flare. You're going to fit right between your chrome groove there. Here, check your bolt holes again and your fitment. Again, that's right on the money, so we're ready to begin the trim and the bolt installation to put this flare into place. Once you know that your fitment is good, you are going to remove any mud flaps or any of these little guards that are down here. So this is going to be in the way of our installation of our bolts right here. So this piece will need to be removed. We'll go ahead and take that off, front and back, left and right side, and then we'll be able to start putting our flares together. Now I am using a 7/32 driver here to remove these 2 bolts. You'll also notice that I have turned my driver's side wheel to the left to open up this space to be able to work. So it's just 2. There's 1. There's 2. So in addition to these 2 bolts here, which are 7/32, there are 2 factory clips on the bottom. I do have one of these little clip removal tools that I've used for other installations. So for me, this is going to be used to pop in and remove those 2 clips here. one. And those clips are out. So you should be able to remove that clip. I would strongly recommend when you get that out, if you've got as much gunk as I do down here, certainly go through with the cloth, remove as much of that as we can. Got a shop cloth here. Certainly going to go through and wipe this area to make sure whatever I'm installing on top of is a nice clean work surface. I'm probably going to get a vac and get up under there and try and suck out some of that junk that's inside of it as well. But at the very least, I want to make sure that what I'm installing on top of is a good, clean work surface. So there we go. And again, I'm going to follow that same exact process here on the passenger side or the right side. Turn the wheel toward the outside, giving me some workspace. There's 2 bolts. 1, 2. Set those aside and I'll keep them in a good location in case I need them for any reason later. And again, there are clips on the bottom, 1 and 2. You'll also see some bolts, but they're not actually holding this trim piece up. There's 1 piece. Trying to get this tool right into that groove. There's 2. These clips are loose. It will take a good little tug here to get this plastic piece off. But there we are, nice and clean. Use our rag to get that surface clean. Top and bottom. Take your time here, make sure it's a good surface to work with. Looks good to me. All right, so once we have this trim all the way down that line, we're gonna take our bolts, nuts, and washers. For each of your bolts, your washer is obviously gonna go on that part, and your bolt is what's gonna be facing out. So you wanna see that. That's the fancy piece that makes it look like this has been bolted into your truck. On the back side, obviously, you're gonna take that washer and bolt and attach it to this nut. I'm gonna go through and hand tighten each of these first. I don't want to go back and forth between my hands and my tools and my hands and my tools. So I'm actually going to repeat that process for each one of these holes. Bolt and washer on the outside, nut on the inside. And I'm going to repeat that process for each one of these holes until you'll see it looks like that instead of that. Bolt, washer. So at this point, I'm going to take these bolts one by one, just keep sliding them through and hand tightening. Bolt and washer, nut on the inside. One more. Get a nut for the inside of that. By the time you're done, you should have 9 of these for each flare bolted in. I've got a few to go. It does bear mentioning that these nuts are rounded on one side and square on the other. The round side should be facing out as you go. So for my last hole here, again, bolt goes on the outside, and the square side of this is going to be the side that's facing down as I do this. Round edge is facing out. Once I get there, you should have your Torx bit ready to go. That will actually keep this in place on the outside as you tighten. So your Torx head will fit right in here. And then you should have your socket ready to go for the other side, which of course is going to keep the nut from spinning on you, okay? So I'm going to go through and tighten each one of these pieces down so that you can see how we're doing this. Torx head goes in the hole. I'm just going to tighten this down. You can use the socket or you can spin the Torx bit. Doesn't really matter too much which one you use. I think it's more efficient to use that socket. So there's one tight, move on to the next. Torque bit, and your socket. Two down. Again, line that up real nice. Gives you a nice machine look to the mounting of this when you put it on. Again, be careful to get it nice and snug. I don't know that you can really over tighten here, but when you feel the pressure, you'll know that it's tight. And final one right here. Torx bit in. Tight. So now I've got my trim on, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bolts mounted. So this is the finished look of that fender flare. Of course, I'm going to repeat that front left, front right, back left, back right, and I will have 4 of these ready to mount onto a good, clean truck surface. When you are setting up your bolts for install, I certainly recommend that you put those washers on ahead of time. There are 8, 9, 10 on the back flares and 9 each on the front flares. So putting the washers on that bolt, I mean, maybe it's a 2-minute savings, but it does help you as you're doing your install to just have them ready to go. All right, so now that we have our fenders assembled, bolts, washers, nuts, edge, trim, the next step is to come through and we're actually going to take some of these bolts off the inside of our existing fender. So you can see I started one down here. That one I loosened actually with my drill. This is just a 7/32 bit. You can use that or your socket. There are 3 of these that we're going to be removing. This will be our first over here. Second up top right there centered, and then there is a 3rd one over here. So again, we're just going to use that socket, or in this case I'm going to use my drill, the bit. One off. Hopefully this will be not too difficult to do it backwards here. There's 2, and your 3rd one is up there in the front, same process. There you go. We're going to repeat that process on both sides in the front, and we'll repeat it in the back as well. All right, so hopefully you set aside those bolts that you removed from the truck. We will use a few of those as we mount this fender flare. Particularly on the bottom of this, you'll see 1, 2 holes. That's where the existing hardware will go. But we also have 1, 2, 3 other holes on this front fender flare that we're going to be putting our Tough Lock clips in. All we need to do for that process is we're going to take this, which is our Tough Lock, and we're going to slide that through the hole in our fender flare right here. From there, what we're going to do is mount our bracket. For this, we're going to put it through this round hole. Round hole slides over there. Obviously, it's going to be able to slide off until we take our screw and thread that into the back side of our Tough Lock. What'll happen is as I screw that in, it will open up the plastic piece. It'll open up that plastic piece. I'll hold it still for you. Locking that in. So now this piece is going nowhere. It's secured by that strap, which has been opened up wide. This will then be used in the back piece of the truck as I mount these on, using the 2 existing pieces plus these 3 Tough Locks. So we'll repeat that process for this hole and for this hole. And then using our threaded Tough Lock piece to lock that in. That's 2 down, 1 to go. Same process one more time. Tough Lock goes in. Grab all my threaded pieces and my round bracket. Bracket slides on. Threaded Tough Lock piece goes in. Started with a little hand tighten. And then all I will do is as I thread that in, the Tough Lock will open up. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3 brackets all ready for mounting. Now we're gonna head over to the truck and we're gonna actually install this thing. Here we go. All right, for the mounting portion of this, we've got 1, 2 holes that we're gonna be using our existing bolts from the initial removal that we took. Those are gonna be mounting right here on that bottom corner. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 clips that we have our Tough Locks on that are also gonna slide up under the inside of this flare so we can use those other 3 bolts. So it'll be 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and then 2 down there. That's what we're gonna be mounting here. Here we go. We are gonna use that 7/32 bit again, just to save some time as we do this install. Remember, we're right above the chrome, tight flush in here at the bottom. We're gonna line up these holes very carefully in the back end to make sure that our installation is flush with the existing bodywork and that we're not missing any of our holes. Now for these other 3, we're gonna be going into those brackets that we just installed with the Torx pieces. So that's gonna be a matter of lining up those elongated threads to make sure we're lined up with those. All right, once we have those 2 factory clips down at the bottom installed, now we're on to our Tough Lock brackets that are gonna get slid up. We gotta keep good pressure to do this, obviously. And then all we're gonna do is get our screw up in that existing factory hole, get a little hand tighten so that it's nice and secure for you. And then I'm going to use my drill, or you can use your socket as well, to tighten that in nice and secure. Okay, there we go. There's 1. We're going to repeat that process for 2 and 3. Obviously, I'm missing the clip slid out, so I've got to bring that around. And there we are. It's in. Repeat that process 1 more time over here. And again, this clip somehow has slid out on me. There we go. Strongly recommend that you check that yourself when you do it. I thought I had them in. That's not fun, and it puts a little extra stress on the plastic to do it that way. So try to make sure yours are in tight the first time. little bit of pressure, get in the hole, hand tighten, and we'll finish it off with a drill. There we go. So that fender is now mounted with 3 clips, and it's mounted with the existing 2 screws. Slightly different process for the rear fender flares. You will see that the holes on the bottom here will line up pretty well with the inside of the truck because we've already checked our fitment. If our fitment is good, we're going to apply moderate pressure, and all we're going to do is take our Sharpie, we'll mark our 5 holes. Now I've already checked this to make sure that my holes are lined up good. Certainly you might want a second hand as you do this. When you are done, you will have 5 nice clean black dots, hopefully on a clean surface that you've worked through. All we're going to do then is take those black Mylar tabs that are included. They look like this, and according to the instructions, we're going to be applying those to the truck in these spaces that we've worked with. So that's that red space there. So all I'm going to do is take the areas where my Sharpie has made a nice dot, and I'm going to take this adhesive, take it right there. It's a nice little coating in between my tabs. All right, put one of those on each of your locations from the holes, secure it nice, and you're good to go. So each one of your Sharpie holes is now going to be covered by your Mylar tabs, black and white on each side. You should have 5 holes that we're working with. So we're going to install 5 of these. Just nice, clean, easy tab. It's 2, 3. 4. Each of those is going to get, of course, covered with one of our clamps. Looks like this. What we're going to do is the longer of the sides, if you look, there's a longer and a shorter side. The longer side is the inside. So we'll slide that clip right over top of my tabs. 5 clips for 5 tabs. There's 1. And again, remember, the hole will be visible. So we want this to be the bottom of it as we mount it to our truck, so you can see that. 3. So I've got 5 clips installed with visible holes on the bottom for drilling into. Okay, so these clamps, we'll call them an S-clamp, are now mounted to the truck with the hole facing down. That hole has been attached to the truck with the tape, and all I'm doing now is I'm taking my fender flare, and I kind of put 2 on to start it because it's hard to hold in place. All I'm gonna do is take this small screw, line it up with the hole on the bottom of the truck, and it should be lined up, since I marked it with my tape, with that hole on my clamp. I did go through and shift the clamps a tiny bit, still within the context of that tape, so that they're lined up with my holes. There's 1. There's 2. This 3rd one right over here, and we're done. Boom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws in. secured to those clamps. I do strongly suggest in the process of putting that tape on and holding this in place, if you can have a helper, that would be monumentally helpful, because alone, I had to get those 2 screws in before I could do anything else. It was tough. Certainly, there's a tiny bit of play on these where you can shift them about 1/8 of an inch each way to be able to line it up with your holes in your flare. Just make sure your dots are good, make sure your tape is square, make sure these are within about 1/8 of an inch forgiveness. And now you're just screwing up into those. 5 on this, and then on the other side, 5 as well.
So if you are looking to cover a wider tire or lower offset, or you just love the look of flares, be sure to check out this very affordable set from Red Rock 4x4 right here at AmericanTrucks.com.